The iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's the heaviest, bulkiest and biggest iPhone ever. But it's also the best. Hi, what's up guys, it's Textumer talking to you here, and today I will review the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Let's get started. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is, for me, the best iPhone ever to come out. I will say it just in the start of this video. If you are worried that the iPhone 13 Pro Max it's not one of the biggest jumps ever and it should be called the iPhone 12s, don't be. Because the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the biggest jump ever in terms of camera quality and display, in my opinion. So it makes a pretty good upgrade coming from the iPhone 12s. The iPhone 13 Pro Max features the same design as the iPhone 12s. And as its predecessor, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it's the biggest, heaviest and bulkiest iPhone ever. It features the same stainless steel sides as the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the same matte glass back. But the iPhone 13 Pro Max features bigger camera bump. So a bigger camera bump houses bigger cameras. And of course, it features the so-called notch. This notch is smaller, 20% smaller this time when compared to its predecessor, the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Of course, the iPhone 13 Pro Max comes in 4 different colors: graphite, silver, Sierra blue and gold. These 4 colors are amazing. I have the Sierra blue iPhone 13 Pro Max and I love this color. It looks like a matte gray color when it's not hit by the light, but when it does, it looks like a light blue, a baby blue to say the least. So I think it's a very, very cool color to have, and I have this combo with the midnight blue leather case from Apple and it looks just insane. I love this iPhone look this year and I love this new design. I think that if you have a not broken design, you should not try to fix it, and I think that the iPhone 13 Pro Max just did that. It focuses on 4 main pillars and, forgetting a little bit more about the design, uses the same design but perfects the phone that should be the iPhone 12 Pro Max with better cameras, displays, batteries, and all in all, I think that this iPhone is one of the best, nor the best phone ever. Oh, and if you are wondering, does it fit on my pocket? It probably will, only if you are a girl wearing tight jeans. It won't, but it fits in mine, so you won't have any problem fitting in yours. Let's start with the displays. The iPhone 13 Pro Max features a new ProMotion-capable 6.7-inch OLED display. This means that this display refreshes from 10 Hz to 120, and it varies according to your speed of scrolling and your type of content that you are watching. If you're watching a 30 frames per second video, it will downscale the FPS to 30 frames, so it saves on battery life and shows you the real deal. If you have a 60 frames per second video, it will slow down to 60 frames to try to show you that. But if you are scrolling to your photos, to your emails, or even scrolling on Instagram, on Twitter, it will do it at 120 Hz. And this is, let me tell you, one of the best features of this new iPhone 13 and 13 Pro Max. Of course, it only comes on the Pros, but it's a big feature for me. The ProMotion display refresh rates at 120 Hz when you are scrolling, and if you are scrolling very fast, you can notice the differences. You can see here that the iPhone 13 Pro Max display is way smoother than the iPhone 12 Pro Max display, just because of that ProMotion technology. But now, you might be thinking that this technology might spend a lot of battery life, but it doesn't, because it refresh rates variably. So when it needs to, it goes down to 10 Hz to save on battery life, and this gives you amazing gains in terms of battery. Another big upgrade to the display was the brightness. The older iPhone 12 Pro Max featured 800 nits of brightness, peak brightness. Now, this iPhone 13 Pro Max features 1000 nits of peak brightness. This is a 20% jump when compared to last year. It's a big jump, and it makes last year's phone look dim when in comparison to this phone. I never had problems with last year's display, but when I got the iPhone 13 Pro Max display, I've noticed right away the differences. It's way brighter and way more crisp. It looks more vivid, it looks way better, and in my opinion, this display is the best display on a phone ever, because it's not so bright that it burns your eyes out, but it's the perfect brightness for me right now, and the HDR content, it's amazing. It peaks at 1200 nits brightness when watching HDR, and I can say that this is the best experience of watching HDR I've ever had, because I don't have a big TV, of course, but this phone has an amazing display. If you want to stream videos, watch Netflix or Disney Plus on a 4K HDR movie. But you might be thinking right now, a huge display with Pro Motion and like a lot of brightness might just kill your battery very fast, wouldn't you? Because that's normal to think. The other Android phones happens with that. But well, not this phone. The battery on this phone is the best battery life experience I've ever had on a phone, like by far. I know that I come from the iPhone 12 Pro, which wasn't the best battery experience, but this iPhone 13 Pro Max repeatedly ends the day with more than 60% for me. So it's a 2-day phone on my normal use. And let me tell you, my normal use is harder than your average user. So for your average user, this battery life might last 2.5 days or even 3 days if you spare it very well. But what most amazes me is when I'm trying to be a power user and try to drain this battery life to the most, like a very heavy focused day on my phone. For example, last week I had a day where I had a birthday party and I had to edit and release videos. I was testing the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and so I ended up having 10 hours of screen on time that day. I was recording memories, filming videos, taking photos, editing a video for more than 3 hours and filming videos too. So I thought that with my iPhone 12 Pro, my phone would have died the middle of the day, but the iPhone 13 Pro Max didn't. It lasted me 10 hours of screen on time and ended the day with more than 10% of battery. This just makes it the best phone ever and easily a 10.5 or 11 hour screen on time day. This is just insane. I never had this good of battery life on a phone. And if you get the iPhone 13 Pro Max, the bulk that you get extra with this phone will be so worth it for that battery life. The battery life on this phone is not just the best battery life ever on an iPhone, it's the best battery life ever on a phone. And in my opinion, makes it so worth it to have this extra size and bulk that I decided to change from the Pro normal models to the bigger size Max models. This is one of the biggest or the biggest reason I love this new iPhone 13 Pro Max, and in my opinion is one of the biggest or even the biggest upgrade to the iPhone 13s this year. Apple promised a 2.5 hour jump, but I got much more. And this phone features an amazing battery. This year, Apple has introduced a new battery in the iPhone 13 Pro Max. That's why we get huge battery gains. This new battery is 4,352 milliamperes, which is 18% bigger than last year's iPhone 12 Pro Max, 3,687 milliamperes. This quotes in, according to Apple, a better 2.5 hours in general. But if we go deep into the specs, we can see that the iPhone 13 Pro Max gets 28 hours of video playing, which is 9 more hours than last year. And with 25 hours of streaming video, this iPhone is one of the biggest, nor the biggest update in terms of battery life ever to an iPhone. It charges at 15 watts with MagSafe, 7.5 watts with Qi wireless charging, and 20 watts with Lightning, which is 50% in 30 minutes. This is the same as last year, and I believe, in my opinion, is the only thing that it's kind of lacking on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, the charging speeds. But like I said before, these are enough and they not drain your battery health really quick like other Android phones. With this amazing battery, you might be thinking, well, how is about the performance? The iPhone 13 Pro Max surely might have an amazing chip. Well, while the battery might be one of the biggest camps where we'll notice the most advancements on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, the chip and performance won't be, because this A15 chip works in silence. Since the iPhone 10 or 10s, that we haven't noticed any differences between the performance on iPhones, because it's always smooth, it's always the same, great, no bugs, no problems running any apps or running the ecosystem or even running the software. There's no bugs on the animations, it's just everything is perfectly smooth and great. But the iPhone A15's chip works on silence, because it's due to this new innovative chip that we are able to get things like cinematic mode that I will talk about later on the camera part of this video. This A15 enables a lot of things, and with the 5-core GPU extra that you got in the Pro, you get a more than 40% of a jump when compared to the normal A15 present on the iPhone 13s. So I think that the iPhone 13 mini and iPhone 13, although it's a very good chip, the A15 there, it only has 4 cores, which makes it 40% slower than the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max 5-core GPU A15. So if you are looking for a gaming phone or even a gaming iPhone, the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max are the two best phones. Or even to edit video or do heavy tasks, heavy on the GPU. So the A15 on the iPhone 13 Pro Max works in silence, and it's also enabling this amazing battery life that I talked about before, because it's way more efficient than the A14. And I think that this year we got a pretty good jump. We got a normal 15% jump to the CPU, a huge 55% jump to the GPU, and way more gains in terms of battery life. And of course, we got a lot more intelligent features. Next, let's talk about the most important thing on this iPhone, the cameras. The cameras were probably the biggest upgrade to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, because last year's iPhone 12s were, let's say, not that good, to say the least, because the iPhone 13 Pro Max cameras are bigger, brighter, and way better, with new fun modes that I will go deep dive in this video. The upgrades to the cameras were huge. Apple now makes bigger wide lens, and the Telephoto now has 3 times zoom instead of 2.5 like last year's. Telephoto now is also able to shoot night mode, while the ultra-wide camera is the most upgrades that we got to the ultra-wide since it got introduced on the iPhone 11s. The ultra-wide camera now, it's way bigger in terms of size, and it can capture way more light. It's more crisp, more consistent, and it's way better than before. It can also take macro photography. These are big improvements to this lens, and now you can notice the difference from the back, because these lenses, they are huge, let me tell you. They are huge, and they will make a difference when you are walking on the street and people are looking at your camera bump, because it's pretty big. But when you are taking photos, this camera transforms into, in my opinion, the best camera ever on a phone that I've tested, because the iPhone 13 Pro Max wide camera is just insane. I'm taking here, you can see here some shots that it's just crisp. It's perfect in every way, and everywhere you look at, this camera is amazing. The pictures look great, they look crisp. You can see here in my face that the details are amazing. It doesn't miss any type of colors. It's just incredible. I love this new wide camera. It takes a lot more light, and in low light situations, this camera just shines like a diamond, let me tell you. Because Apple believes these cameras are so good at low light capacity that now they don't use them at their full capacity. If you have to slide up your little roll-up screen to the maximum, not on automatic, but to the maximum that your phone can do at the moment, and it will take amazing low light photos. As you can see here, they are very crisp. They are shot like they almost were shot on the day, but they were at night, and these are very difficult situations. This is way better than the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it's justified by the fact that these lenses are way bigger. The telephoto lens is also way better. It's way more crisp, it zooms further without losing quality, and of course it's now a 77mm lens, which gives you a little bit a different perspective of a subject, if you may like it or not. But this lens now has night mode, so last year's it didn't. It used the wide lens and cropped it in. This year we have night mode on the telephoto lens. It takes pretty good shots, as you can see here, and they are very crisp, very beautiful. In all faces you have this different type of view of your subject. But as I told you before, the biggest upgrade was the ultra wide. It takes way more consistent photos when compared to the other cameras this year. So now when you switch to the ultra wide, you don't have to be worried that it's soft and the colors do not pop as much. So the ultra wide is way better than before. But the biggest thing that to be added to the iPhone camera system this year, mainly to the ultra wide camera, was macro photography. Macro photography is so much fun. I had so much fun taking photos with this, because now you can get close to a subject, so close that you can almost, in sometimes, do not know what it is. You can get to 2 centimeters close and your iPhone can focus perfectly. Like, it's weird. You can get your phone like almost touching the subject and it can focus still. I have taken so much fun photos of socks, grass, poles, iron, and it's so much fun to taking photos of this. And I love this new macro photography functionality. I had so much fun. I will do it a lot in the future, and this is one of those features that we weren't expecting, but when we got it, we are so incredibly surprised by it, and I love this new feature. One of the biggest features to come to the camera system by far. Of course, we also have photo styles. These are like minor upgrade to the camera. In my opinion, this could be huge in the future, but right now they just like change the colors and warmth. They are not a filter, they are a change to the computer size of the image processing from Apple. So if you want to work with lighter tones, or you want to work with heavier tones or with more contrast, you can do it on photo styles. If you like your photos to be more vivid, you can do it. Just go to the camera app and you can change whatever your style you want. You have to turn on that definition and go there and just slide over with your finger and choose and take the photos. You can see here that differences are very noticeable actually, but you can change them after the fact. So be careful when you are taking photos and choose your style. Do not choose one style and then forget to take it off, and when you are taking the photo, well, it's ruined because you don't like that style. So choose your style and use it. Play with it if you want to, but I do not recommend you be changing all the time. The video on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, well, it's the best video ever on a phone, because the iPhone has always had the best video ever on a phone. The video 4K 60 is amazing. You can see here it's very crisp, the colors pop, and it's very, very, very stable. I was walking on this video and it's still amazingly stable. It has sensor shift stabilization, so it just shows that this video gets stable, do not crumbles a lot, and the quality of this video, it's almost like a camera. But talking about cameras, good Lord, Apple added one thing that I'm very excited for the future, and right now I'm also very excited with it. It's cinematic mode. So this is the cinematic mode on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I switched to it to show you how good it is. As you can see right now, it's focusing on my face and blurring the background. This is a 1080p 30 frames per second video, and as you can see, it's not perfect. Although it's very good when only having faces. The point of cinematic mode is to change focus wherever the camera thinks is the subject of the video. For example, if I bring up this case to the video and I put it closer to the camera and look to it, the camera should change the focus to this case. Then, when I look back at the camera, it should change the focus to me. Of course, you can do this on post or manually on your phone. This is an incredible feature because no film-grade camera can do this afterwards. So, for example, change the focus of a subject afterwards. It's just nuts and insane. But the iPhone can do that with the power of the A15 chip. This cinematic mode is not perfect, and it's kind of an half-baked feature. It's just like the iPhone 7's portrait mode. So in my opinion, Apple needs to improve in a lot of sectors in cinematic mode. But it doesn't mean that I'm not excited with this new cinematic mode, because right now, this is one of the biggest, nor the biggest feature on the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max, 13 and 13 mini. And in my opinion, the iPhone 13s will be known by this feature, not only ProMotion. So I think that cinematic mode, although it's an half-baked feature, is way better than the other Android phones' cinematic mode or portrait video. So I'm hoping that Apple can improve a lot of it on the new 2.0 cinematic mode that it will launch in a couple of years. The portrait mode on this camera is also very good. You can take portrait modes on wide lens on the telephoto. The portrait modes just look very crisp, and in my opinion, they are the best portrait mode on a phone, because you can see that the differences between this and a DSLR are almost none. The iPhone now can make almost perfect portrait modes, and you can see here in some examples that it doesn't make any mistake. Even on the air, on the shirt, it's just perfect, and I love this new portrait mode. One thing that is not as good on portrait mode is nighttime portrait mode or low light portrait mode. Although Apple has introduced it on the iPhone 12 Pro, I think that this nighttime portrait mode is still lacking in a lot of camps, because it's blurry, it's not as good, it doesn't get it as right as a normal portrait mode, and it has a lot of work to do. Although it uses a LiDAR sensor, I mean, it's only used for that. Although it uses it, it's not perfect, and I want Apple to improve this on this camp too. I want the iPhone camera to be perfect. We have to wait a little bit longer. So this iPhone 13 Pro Max upgrade proved to be bigger than we thought it would be. We were thinking beginning of the year that this would be an S-year iPhone, but Apple just improved every single category that it needs to make a phone better. Better in a way that when you switch phones, you notice right away. The battery, the display, the cameras, and of course, they changed the notch size, which were very important on this phone. But by changing these three main categories, the battery, the display, and the cameras, the iPhone 13 Pro Max gives its users a sense of a huge upgrade, a sense of the job done right, because the iPhone 12 Pro only got a redesign, and when I started using it 1 month after it, I forgot. I think that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is a bigger upgrade from the 12 Pro Max than the iPhone 12 Pro was from the iPhone 11 Pro. I think that the iPhone 13 Pro Max will prove a lot of people wrong. And a lot of people are saying right now, just because the design wasn't changed, that the iPhone 13 Pro Max wouldn't be a good phone. And Apple slacked this year. They were lazy and they didn't upgrade their phone properly. But I disagree. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, for me, and in my opinion, the iPhone 13 Pro Max will be the best phone this year and the best phone for everyone. I think that you are looking for a phone, save a little bit more money and buy the iPhone 13 Pro Max right away. Do not think twice. The bigger battery, bigger display, better ProMotion display, and of course you get the bigger size 6.7-inch display, makes the iPhone 13 Pro Max one of the biggest, best iPhones ever. But if you are not a fan of big phones, then I recommend you the 13 Pro, which is an amazing phone too. It has an amazing battery life, has an amazing performance. It also has the same features as the iPhone 13 Pro Max, only difference being the size of the screen and the size of battery, which indicates a smaller battery life. But it also reaches 8 hours, so it's very good too. So what are your thoughts on the iPhone 13 Pro Max? For me, I recommend it every single day. Next year, if you want to upgrade, you just sell it 1 week before the iPhone 14 comes out and you get most of your value back. So for me, it's a done deal, and I will keep this iPhone 13 Pro Max for myself. I love this phone. It changed my whole perspective of owning a phone, and I can't wait to give you more comparisons between older phones and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And Jesus, I love this phone, love everything about it. It has some problems like every other phone. For example, it could get rid of the notch, it could have better cinematic mode, but those are things that Apple needs to improve in the future. So what are your opinions on the iPhone 13 Pro Max? Have you bought one? Will you buy one? Or are you going to buy an iPhone 13 this year? Let me know on the comments down below. So before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. This was Tex from talking to you here. Bye.